Welcome back, Patriots, for another episode of the Bald Brad Show, where we cover all the major news that you need to know about. And well, New York City decided to turn to a Muslim socialist, Zohran Mamdani. Zohran. I don't know what they were thinking, but things are definitely going to get pretty interesting here. And this is the experiment that we were looking for. I told you from the get-go I wanted this guy to win because it's always nice to see through an experiment how things truly unravel and where things go. So we have a lot of news for you this fine morning. If you haven't already, make sure you head over to baldbrad.com and check out what kind of stuff we have and the goodies we have over there. We have a blog where we write stuff. There is a blog about Zohran Mamdani up and loaded right now that gives you a good idea of the initiatives that he wants to push as now the mayor of New York City. We also have a store, a shop where you can get yourself mugs, hoodies, t-shirts, all that stuff. Remind you, the holiday season is right around the corner. I know some of you have been asking your loved ones, get me some Bald Brad merch. Well, now is your time to go grab up those goodies. So make sure you head over there, baldbrad.com. And lastly, we also have a book called Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. It's all about how the left has infiltrated this great country of ours. And well, we might not have a great country if we continue to allow it to happen. It talks about how you can fight back, how you can be thoroughly equipped with everything that you need to know in order to push back against this ideology that is, well, it's crippling our country, and you're seeing it happen in real time. And you're about to see it happen in New York City if he actually gets his way. And there's a caveat to that, because I'm not so sure that Zohran Mamdani is actually going to be able to get his way. And, well, we need to cover that big time. And lastly, before we jump further into this thing, please make sure you check out the like button down there at the bottom and hit that like and subscribe button, folks. It always helps the show out greatly. And well, we would appreciate all the help that we can get from you. All righty, let's jump into the news. Make sure everything's working correctly. Well, the big news that everyone's going to be talking about is what just happened in New York City. And well, that's because this is not just a local story, by the way. This is a warning. One would say maybe even a turning point, that this is what happens when a city that has been spiraling into crime, mass migration, homelessness, failing schools, and collapsing infrastructure decides the solution is to, I don't know, elect a radical socialist whose campaign slogan might as well have been free everything, paid for by nobody. Zohran Mamdani, a guy, a 34-year-old self-described socialist, born in Uganda, raised in Queens, has been elected mayor of New York City. And the media is out here celebrating it like it's the second coming of AOC. They're calling him youthful, inspiring. He's a good guy that we saw in some of those on the street interviews. Some reasons came in one word, such as because. Why are you voting for Zohran Mamdani? Because. I am not kidding. We all watched it together. He's a fresh voice, they're telling us. A man who called to the globalist to globalize Intifada. I don't even know how you always say that word correctly. A man who expressed open sympathy for Hamas, by the way. He called to defund the police in one of the most crime-ridden cities in the entire union. A man who wants a $30 an hour minimum wage in a city-run grocery store. This is what people vote for when they don't have an education to unravel all the variables and the outcomes of which something that they vote for could produce. And yes, I'm calling them stupid. This is not progress. It's not reform. This is leftist revolution disguised as compassion. And that's what they play on. We talk about in our book, Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. This is directly a playbook from my book. I mean, how many times can we say a book in one sentence? So That came out in 2023. We're going on now in 2025 at the end of this sucker, and you're still seeing the left push this. You got now Bernie Sanders there, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Zohran Mamdani. I mean, yeah, it's small in comparison to the entire union, but this is how small things get big. Everything starts off very small, but boy, oh boy, does that sucker grow into a big old thing. Now, the Daily Wire here on your screen reports that he ran and won on promises to make everything from city buses to childcare free. It's always free, free, free. Like this some magical Scandinavian utopia with infinite money pouring out of the sidewalk steam vents. I mean, I don't know what people are thinking here, but I'm happy for them. I'm not even being a sarcastic or being a smartass. I'm serious. I'm really happy for everybody in New York. Meanwhile, these New Yorkers is $9 billion with a B in the hole. Businesses have already started fleeing. That's why you had Governor Greg Abbott over there in Texas going to implement a 100% tariff on anybody coming into Texas from New York City. Tourism is down because it turns out nobody wants to see a homeless person taking a dump right in front of them while they're having their breakfast. Crime is up. Yeah, nobody wants to take the subway system anymore because they're afraid of getting stabbed in the neck, getting deleted. And half the city is being used as a sanctuary hotel shelter system for illegal immigrants. But hey, don't worry, you guys. You're going to get free buses. Woo! Wow. In the same way they were stoked 2 years ago to get trash cans. That is, I always have to say I'm not kidding because people always think that that's just like a joke, like a kind of like a little sidebar thing, something to laugh at. Oh, they didn't really get trash cans like 2 years ago. No, they did. And they were stoked about it, that they got trash cans. Now they're stoked that they get free busing. That's how low the city is. Let's look at the numbers here for a second. So with 49.6% of the vote, Mamdani beat Andrew Cuomo, yes, the former governor, the guy that, deleted a bunch of elderly people, who ran as an independent trying to salvage what was left of his disaster legacy. Cuomo polled about 41%, and then Curtis Sliwa, the one who's actually been fighting crime on the streets for 40 years, got just 8%. So what does all this tell us? Like, what's this about? New York voted for ideology, not reality. Emotion over evidence. Narrative over survival. Mamdani supporters were overwhelmingly first-time voters. Listen to that. First-time voters and recent transplants who have lived in the city less than a decade. People who didn't see what, what's his name? Rudy Giuliani did in cleaning up Times Square. People don't remember when New York was actually safe. And you're seeing that a lot with this younger generation. If you looked at the statistics on the younger generation on wanting to vote for socialist behavior, socialist ideas, your head would spin. People don't remember, again, what New York used to be like. People who were raised on TikTok activist slogans and think government is just a big Santa Claus with unlimited credit are the ones that voted for freaking this idiot on your screen. Not me, Zohran. This is the pattern we've seen in Chicago with Brandon Johnson. Prior one was Lori Lightfoot. You also saw it in Los Angeles, here where I live, with Karen Bass. In San Francisco with London Breed. It's millennial revolutionaries, my generation, these revolutionaries, they're not revolting against anything other than their own idiocracy, who have been told by universities, media, and activist nonprofits that the state is the solution and capitalism is the problem. How many years, you guys? I've been doing the show for almost 5 years straight. I have been echoing this from the same room, same microphone, same camera to the same audience for 5 years, that I'm telling you that the education system is telling them that socialism isn't that bad, that it just hasn't been tried right. I'm telling you, I've heard it with my own eyes. I've seen it time and time again. I've heard it from the mouths of the students growing up. They crap on capitalism. They crap on the United States all the time. They're not going to explicitly say, oh, United States just sucks, blah, blah, blah. How do they do it? Well, let's cover all the evils of the United States. Let's not cover all the good things. Well, when you start talking, it's like this. When you have a friend and that friend has never met your let's say your best friend. You just met this guy. You got your best friend over here. The guy that you just met has never met your best friend. And you start just ragging on your best friend. You had maybe like an issue with them and you just started just talking so much crap about all the things that they did that was wrong, blah, blah, blah. Well, now that person has an entire viewpoint about your best friend that is completely negative, even though they're your best friend. You love them. You're their best friend. They're actually not that bad. They're actually, in totality, they're pretty damn good. But now you're venting to this person, so all they get is this viewpoint of your best friend that you love and adore, but because it's all you did was crap on them, well, now that person hates your best friend automatically. It's a silly analogy, but it gets the point across. All they do is crap on the United States and the education system. They crap on it on the media. They crap on it in movies in Hollywood, which didn't used to be the case, by the way. And now you got this entire generation, multiple generations, by the way, hate this country. Major problem. And because parents don't want to parent anymore and actually inculcate values in their kids, which is what your main job is to do, by the way, you get this. So they think capitalism is the problem. The United States is the problem. Meanwhile, they're using their freaking iPhones, riding Ubers, and complaining about DoorDash that takes too long to deliver their organic oat milk latte. I mean, think about the craziness of that. They're complaining about capitalism. All the while, they're holding an iPhone, ordering DoorDash, and while they're complaining about capitalism, they're complaining that the latte that they order with oat milk, that's a very specific order, isn't coming to their house fast enough because they're idiots. They're actual idiots. Guess what? You're not idiots, by the way, patriots. They're idiots. And they're too stupid to realize you don't get that in socialism. They're too stupid to realize anything. They're too stupid to realize the clothes on their back and everything that revolves on their life is formed around capitalism. But they're too dumb. And you know what? You would think before you voted for something that if you were so sure about it, maybe you'd go test it out before you make everybody else go through the crap that you want to go through. I don't know, maybe go actually live in a socialist country. You can go do it right now. You go do it right now, but they don't want to do it. They'd rather tear apart the inside of this great country. The first intifada and second intifada led to bus bombings, by the way, stabbings, suicides, and 1,000+ murders. Now, where am I getting that from? Well, because Mamdani openly supported the phrase globalize the intifada. For those who don't know history, that means not conversion. It does not mean awareness. It means armed violent uprising, specifically against Jews, but it has been used against kind of just any violent or armed uprising in the first place. So we've seen that before. So when New York mayor-elect uses that phrase, he's not talking about solidarity. He's talking about spreading anti-Semitic violence globally and within. But don't worry. Oh, well, we're fine, folks. The same voters who cheered that slogan then say, well, they're concerned about the rising of anti-Semitism. I'm not kidding. The same people, this is how stupid some of these people are. The same people that voted for this guy are saying, I have quotes here, quote, concerned about rising anti-Semitism, end quote. We saw video footage on the street interviews of Jewish people saying they're going to vote for Zohran, that he's one of them. It's like, bro, the guy's talked about deleting you. What are you talking about? Not to mention, there's another guy, Jay Jones, that openly talked about deleting conservatives. Do you see a constant theme here from the Democrat Party that seems to be happening? It's kind of a new thing. It's a new movement here, but it is happening. So you have a mayor that's openly asked for the uprising utilizing violent crime. And then you also have a guy in another state, Jay Jones, that wants to delete you and your kids. This is where that party's going. If you think we're not heading towards a civil war, I love your optimism. It's insane. So even Cuomo understood that this guy who covered up nursing home deaths and was chased out of office for that harassment. Well, even he carried the majority of the Jewish vote in this election because, well, they know what's coming. They at least, some of them know, not all of them. And yet this city still elected Mamdani, man. This is what happens when a city forgets who it is. This is what happens when you trade reality for ideology. And this is what happens when you believe government is God. And all these youngsters are idiots. New York once gave us Broadway. That's gone down in the dumps. Can't even keep that building up. Wall Street, the Yankees, the Empire State Building, the culture and economic heart of America. And that's why you saw in the interview yesterday, for those that are in Dark MAGA, we saw an interview where that girl was bragging about how great this city is. It's the greatest city in the entire world. And I said, no, it's not. You guys are stoked to have free buses and trash cans. It's not the greatest city in the world. Those that are cheering in the streets for freaking trash cans. Insane. I got some cheering to do. Bruce over here with $100. Am I reading that right? $100 over at YouTube. Unbelievable. Bruce, thank you so much. That is putting your hard-earned money in an outlet that pushes conservative values, conservative ideology, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for that. I mean, $100 is insane, man. Thank you. God bless you. That is a lot of moolah. So it says, let me make sure I read this correctly here. I will never donate 1 red cent to New York for 911 ever or 9/11 ever again. They forgot, so shall I. Well, I appreciate the 100, man. God, that's a powerful statement, dude. It does seem like they forgot, but that's what happens. It's a fascinating thing to see how quick we forget things all the time. I mean, look at the news cycle, right? I mean, remember Donald Trump was shot not too long ago. Charlie Kirk was shot not even 2 months ago, and everybody's forgot about that for the most part. That's out of the news, and that's what I think Bruce brings up a great point here, is that we just forget all these atrocities and then, well, we move on to the next thing. Oh, that never happened. I mean, think about that. You've had multiple assassination attempts on a president. You just had a main figure of the conservative movement assassinated all over the internet. And everyone's like, oh, well, life goes on. We're done. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Well, thank you. God bless you, Bruce. I appreciate you. Thank you for the $100. That's a big donation. It says, I love the show. I love you guys. I love hanging out with you guys. I really do. I get excited. Hey, there's not many things in this world that are going to get me up at 4:30 in the morning, but you guys do it for me, and I love it. All right, so where were we? So New York City brings all this stuff, right? No, they brought us Broadway, the Yankees, the Empire State Building, all this cool stuff. Well, now it gives us globalize the intifada, free buses, and city-run grocery stores. That's what it's going to bring us. Wow. What a beacon of hope. Well, congratulations, New York. You've officially become San Francisco East. Crime will rise, businesses will leave, tax revenue will collapse, and then, like clockwork, these same voters will flee to Florida, Texas, Tennessee. And what are they going to do there? They're going to complain about those states are too conservative. It's not just a New York story, folks. This is the future of every American city if we stop defending Western values, law and order, and Judeo-Christian civilization. This is what happens when the left wins. And the rest of America better wake up, because this isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning, because we also have midterms coming up. And then we also have an election in 2028. And if we allow this crap to happen, then we're going to drive ourselves deeper, deeper into the ground. Crazy, man. It's really, really crazy. So Democrats sweep the election. They took New York City, obviously, that we just covered. They took New Jersey, where Democrat Mickey Sherrill scored a decisive victory over Republican challenger Jack Ciattarelli. She won by a stunning 20-point margin. These weren't slim margins necessarily. 20-point is wild, man. Virginia, Democrat candidates for governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general all came out on top. Governor's race ended up a blowout where Spanberger won, which we called that even when we were doing Dark MAGA last night. We had her upwards of 99% winning. They called that early. The last few votes were counted early Wednesday morning, and it appeared to be among the largest margins of victory for a Democrat gubernatorial candidate in the state in decades, meaning not even close. Republicans ultimately struggled to drive out in the state's deep red rural counties, while Spanberger ran up the score in heavily populated blue counties near Washington, D.C., outpacing former Vice President Kamala Harris's performance. So just a walloping that took place. Big old walloping. Well, the government shutdown is still taking place, which is always kind of fascinating. That's still happening. And again, we're just trying little tidbits here. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the kind of the new format that we may be seeing here in the new year of the show. And everybody said they liked it, so that's why I'm continuing it a little bit here. And we'll make sure we get to some video clips in just one moment. Pat, thank you so much. Moderator Pat coming in with the 5 gifted subs, man. That's crazy, dude. Thank you so much. Bruce and Pat coming in hot with the 5 gifted subs. So ARC, I am losing my voice. I gotta be careful. ARC got a gift. Kevin Evans, shout out to you, got a gifted sub, gifted membership. Be Wise Open Eyes, I love that. Bomac Apps and Gary Lopez all got membership. Shout out to Pat, our moderator, always gifting subs. And geez, okay, we got a lot here. Bruce is like, I'm not done yet. Bruce comes in with 20 gifted memberships. Payday must have came in, brother. Appreciate it. Giving people memberships is freaking awesome. Dangerous Loaf. Oh, Brad got a membership. Angie, Project VO Pod, Niven World, The Nerdy Home, Sam, Kathy Cooper, James Kennedy, Stacy, longtime supporter. What's up, Stacy? Skull AP, Lisa. Oh, it's going too fast. Jesus. Lisa Walters, Sea Dog is in the chat. What's up, Sea Dog? Kristen, Kate Shepard, Amanda, The Morning Star, Devin Wright, Lawn Care Lover. Heck yeah, I love that. You should upload some videos of lawn care, by the way. Beanhead, Worldwide Hole Puncher. That's what they call me, huh? Ricochet, sorry, that's for Dark Maga, my bad. And Ricochet got memberships. A lot of new members. Thanks, guys. Wow. It's always cool getting people in on the community. And I feel like now I need to do a members only video or something like that just to, appease everybody here. Thank you, man. So every 5th of the month is payday. Now I've learned something. Okay. All right. It's good to know. Thank you. That's crazy, man. You guys are really generous people. Thank you. All righty. Well, the government shutdown has just hit a new level, and the media is already hard at work on this whole thing, doing what they always do. Basically, they're lying on who's responsible. So let's be clear, like right up front. The government is shut down, and this means 2 big immediate problems. Holiday air travel is on track to be a disaster. That's one thing we kind of all forgot, right? That we all use Amazon, UPS, all that stuff. And we're talking massive delays here. We're talking cancellations and possible shutdown of parts of U.S. airspace. Yeah, dude, this could get... I kind of do want it to continue to go because I'm really curious on what happens here. I love experimentation if you haven't got that. I love it. So New York City, experimentation. We saw what happened to my state of California. It's a dumpster fire. The experiment, we learned enough. Okay, we could turn it back to what it used to be. We get it. It doesn't work. Let's go back. Experiment is done in my home state. Okay, I'm tired of looking at the doo-doo. SNAP benefits for 42 million Americans, allegedly. We know it's not actually 42 million Americans. It's 42 million people. Go ahead and read those articles, folks. They started changing it from people to Americans. It was a sleight of hand that a lot of the outlets are doing. It's not 42 million Americans because we know that half the people on SNAP benefits are illegal immigrants. So but catch it because we covered it early on. It said 42 million people, not 42 million Americans. Now all these outlets are talking about Americans. Working families, seniors, and disabled are now delayed. What Democrats are running around screaming is that they're saying it's all Republicans' fault. Like Hakeem Jeffries, you guys, actually said, and I'm quoting here, there is, quote, nothing to be optimistic about relative to the cruelty and the pain that Donald Trump and Republicans continue to inflict on the American people. Really? It's all Donald Trump's fault. It's Republicans' fault, not your guys' fault. I got you. Okay. Cruelty, pain, Republicans are basically cartoon villains, twirling their mustaches. That's the narrative. But here's what's actually happened. The House passed a clean resolution. Clean, meaning no new policy changes. It just keeps the government funded at current levels while negotiations continue. Like, this is the obvious thing. Republicans said, let's keep the government open while we debate the rest. That's reasonable. That makes sense. Then the Senate voted on that bill. And for the 14th time, I think it's now the 15th time. I think they did the 15th time yesterday. Democrats blocked it. Only 2 Democrats, John Fetterman and Catherine Cortez Masto, broke their party and voted to reopen the government. So who is keeping the government shut down? Democrats, not Republicans, not Trump, not House conservatives, Democrats, period. And why are Democrats blocking the bill? Because, and again, it's not speculation, they want billions in new healthcare subsidies to cover illegal immigrants. I mean, House Speaker Mike Johnson actually laid it out pretty well. Democrats demanded $1.5 trillion in new spending. You heard that correctly. That is not a typo. That is $1.5 trillion, including nearly $200 million to restore free taxpayer-funded health benefits for illegal immigrants. So let me say that again. Because if you were ever a sentence that summarizes, there's ever a sentence that summarizes the Democrat Party in 2025, it's this. Democrats are willing to shut down the U.S. government to delay benefits for American citizens that they can restore free health care for illegal immigrants. That is the whole fight. Now the shutdown has real world consequences, and they are serious ones. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy said if this continues, quote, you will see mass flight delays, mass cancellations, and we may close certain parts of the airspace because we don't have air traffic controllers. So your Thanksgiving and your Christmas travel could be destroyed because Democrats want to fund migrants before Americans. And this is a common theme of that party, where you have to feel the pain on behalf of somebody else. So get ready for the holiday season. And then there's the SNAP benefits. Food assistance for 42 million people. The USDA has already said that they don't have funds to distribute benefits because the government shut down. But they were forced to dip into this, what's called the emergency reserves, which is about $4.7 billion, give or take. It's a little bit less than that. Only after a federal judge ordered it. And I did go through the legal precedents for it. I gotta say, it does seem like the judge is right on this one. It seems like it, but I'm not a lawyer. But based on what I read and kind of the understanding of it, it does seem like this is something that can be distributed by judicial order. Doesn't mean I agree with it, but that's what the money's there for. But here's the part the media definitely is not telling you, though, folks. That's just like that's the whole purpose we do the show, is to call out their hypocrisy and just kind of the convenient parts that they don't want to include in the whole story that kind of will change your opinion on things. So the emergency payout could take a few weeks up to several months to actually even process. So people who need help now, currently, while inflation is still crushing grocery prices somewhat, are being told to wait. And Trump responded to that directly. He said, quote, SNAP benefits will resume the moment the radical left Democrats reopen the government, which they can easily do at any time. And he's right. They could reopen the government today by simply voting yes on the clean spending resolution already passed by the House, which is dominated by Republicans. They just don't want to, you guys. It's the same thing that Joe Biden did with the freaking border. He could have closed it. He just didn't want to. Democrats could open the government today, like right now, if they just walked to the floor and voted for the clean resolution. They just don't want to because their priority is not you. In the same way, Joe's priority was not you with the border. His priority was illegal immigrants. It's always been that way. That party has always been the party of keeping people down and oppressing people. They did it with the blacks. They did it with the Jews. They did it with the Japanese. They do it with all sorts of people. Now they're just doing it on a mass scale called American citizens. And now you're a second-class citizen in your own country. Oh, you thought you're a citizen? Nope. It's not American citizens. It's not families. It's not seniors. It's not veterans. It's not the working poor like they say it is. It's illegal immigrants and activist interest groups. That's what it's all about. It's not incompetence and it's not accidental. This is not a misunderstanding like they say on the media. This is ideology and it's proof of priorities. So if you ever wanted to know where you stand in the eyes of the Democrat leadership, you come after the people who cross the border illegally. You come after the global agenda and you come after the activist demands. This shutdown is not about money. It's about who the government serves. And clearly, Democrats have made their answer perfectly clear on that one. They don't serve any of you. That's pretty damn good, I gotta say. That's pretty damn good, huh? Yeah, got you guys going a little bit in the chat, huh? Well, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button because we do this each and every damn morning. Appreciate you guys in the chat. All righty, well, there is a little bit of some pizzazz I want to show you. We got Scott Jennings here. Got to make sure I put on my headphones that are still falling apart. I hope Danielle doesn't see that because Danielle donated I think it was $20 back in the future. I still have it, by the way, on me getting new headphones. Oh God, here we go. That does not mean donate money, okay? I have the money for new headphones. Do not donate money, please. Please. All right, let's get we got some Scott Jennings stuff here for you. So I want to make sure I show you the right one before. Okay, yeah, it is this one. Scott Jennings is our palate cleanser. And Scott Jennings unloads on Zohran Mamdani's long, angry victory speech here.
Scott? Oh, are you saying he wasn't the unifying voice of a generation that you predicted mere moments ago? Axe, where was the man that you predicted would not slice and dice the... Look, guys, he started his speech by quoting Eugene Debs, who ran for president of the United States. 5 times as the Socialist Party of America candidate. He repeatedly attacked people in this. No, I know my socialists. I keep a close eye on them.
Yeah,
I work here. So here's the thing. He went after everybody that he thinks is a problem. People who own things, people who have businesses. He said an interesting quote: "No problem too large for government to solve." Things
or too small, important.
And so when you think of the world that way, that every problem, no matter how small or how large, is something for government to do, let me just decipher this for you. Tax increases as far as the eye can see, which means the people who need to provide jobs to the young people that you say need jobs are going to flee as quickly as they possibly can. I think this was a divisive speech, and he clearly sees the world in terms of the people who are oppressing you and the oppressed. And he said the oppressed are now in City Hall.
I mean, he's not wrong. And remember, there's never going to be enough money to cover what they want. Because if they say the busing is going to cost them $2 billion or something like that, and they need to raise the tax on just the wealthy, anybody over $1 million or something, well, that's going to cover it. But it's never just $2 billion. That they're never in the ballpark. That's kind of like what they did with the high-speed rail here in California. The high-speed rail here in California was only supposed to cost so much money. Now it's like $115 billion, $128 billion or something like that. And they haven't built actually any rail. Like literally, they built cement, but there's no rail. So the story last night is actually the Socialist Party is taking over the Democrat Party.
The story for tonight is actually that the Socialist Party is taking over the Democrat Party. And you know what? It was Andrew Cuomo. It was Kathy Hochul. It were the Democrats that were so afraid of their shadow, so afraid of the radical left. People like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez kept moving to satisfy them. And now they've been eaten alive. So this is a lesson for the Democrat Party. They should have fought for their party. They never fought for their party. They catered to the radical left. And now we're going to see, by the way, for people who think that they're voting for affordability here with Mamdani, a guy who believes in socialism, we're going to learn the hard way in New York City what socialism is. Your taxes will go up, and if you pay property taxes, you won't be able to afford to live in your home. And if you guess what you rent, it's going to be passed on to you in the form of your rent.
Yep.
Yeah. Mandates, fees, regulations, surcharges. We've seen it in this state, in this city, under one-party rule for the last decade. It costs money. It gets passed on to you. So if you think you're going to get a free ride with Mamdani, you're going to learn the hard way.
That's why the answer to it.
Well, before we talk about that, thank you, Pat. I got to watch my mouth sometimes. He sent $10 in for the new headphones. Got them. Thanks, man. I'm sure you saw my reaction right when it came in. Oh, boy. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that, man. You didn't have to do that. I wish I knew how to refund people because I would legitimately refund you. Thank you. God. I appreciate you guys. Your generosity is pretty crazy. Well, here's the thing. Zohran has thought about this. Every time we say, if you haven't caught on, every time we say Zohran, you have to do the Zohran sign. Zohran makes a Z. Zohran he's thought about it. She is right when she says that, oh, well, with the property taxes, they also want to have you do renovations. So what they're having, there's an initiative called, oh God, what is it called again? I have it here. One moment. It's called like Local Law 79 or something like that. Let me see. I have it written down. Let me check my show notes. 1 second. Everybody calm down. I have it here. Yeah, Local Law 97. So this law forces 50,000 buildings in New York City to make extremely expensive renovations to, quote, reduce emissions, end quote, even though the electric grid cannot support the changes. What that means is that these like co-ops, these like these condos, these residents that are living in them are looking at renovation bills of anywhere from $60,000 for each apartment. There's 50,000 buildings, not apartments, 50,000 buildings that hold apartments. Each apartment would cost $60,000 to $125,000 or a huge yearly fine if they don't renovate it, which gets passed straight on to the renter. Now, I bring that up because that's why he wants to do rent freezes so that cannot happen. This is why if you own property, like you're a landlord and you have multiple apartment complexes, good luck, dude. Good freaking luck. Wild stuff happening. Somebody did ask if California 50 passed. Well, good luck to you. That is exactly where we're going next. And just to show you proof, I have it right here for you. Oh, it's almost like I know you guys on what you want to hear. All righty. Yes. So 50 did pass, but there's a few other things in this. Okay. So California, my state, well, has done it again. This state gave us a $7 a gallon gas. They gave us sanctuary cities, rolling blackouts and brownouts, and sidewalks made of tent encampments, has now passed a ballot measure that openly rigs the electoral map to guarantee Democrats even more power. This isn't even subtle, by the way. They're not even hiding it, as you know. They are announcing it proudly with confetti cannons and media applause. So Proposition 50, and by the way, for anybody that cares, I live in California here. I've lived here my entire life. 36 years on this rock I've lived in California, minus maybe a year because I lived in Washington, D.C. A ballot measure backed by Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi has passed with about 65% of the vote, folks. This is a landslide. It's not even close, according to a Decision Desk HQ. And what does Prop 50 actually do? It redraws California's congressional map in a way that will add 5 new Democratic seats for the next midterm elections. So it's not reform. It's not like protecting democracy is what they're shouting about or anything of that nature. What it's about is gerrymandering by another name. That's all they're doing. It's political engineering. In other words, like what you could also look at as, I don't know, power consolidation. How about that? So here's the kicker. The ballot measure is explicitly written as a response to Texas. The California Democratic Party literally says, this is a quote right now, quote, this is a direct response to a Republican power grab orchestrated by President Donald Trump and state leaders in Texas, end quote. And Nancy Pelosi said, quote, if Texas had backed off, California would have backed off. But Trump insisted on Texas starting this fight. So California will meet this moment and win big on Tuesday to defend our health care and our democracy, end quote. Health care that you nut jobs can't even afford because you sold your constituents on Obamacare, which is called the Affordable Care Act. And now because it's not affordable anymore and you need people to subsidize it across the board, well, now you have a government shutdown as one of the reasons. Most of it's due to illegal immigrants, but one of the reasons why it's shut down. So that's why now. But don't worry, they want to protect their health care, folks, by forcing you to pay for the health care that they can't afford in the first place and shouldn't have been on in the first place. I'm not saying people can't get health care, but they can. I don't need to fund everybody's health care all the time. Some people need it, and I'm willing to help. Not that many people in California. So Blue Shield, who you've all heard of, they've been in the news often by James O'Keefe of California, donated $500,000 to help ram this through. Corporate money was secured to create a partisan political map. So to help Gavin Newsom do this, they donated the money, and he positioned himself, if you haven't caught on yet, for a 2028 presidential run. Gavin is out of office soon. Gavin is out in 2027, by the way, which is a perfect timing for him to run for 2028. He can't run in California again. Thank God. It's like such a blessing that we have term limits. Such a blessing. I think there should be term limits everywhere. So he's going to run in 2028. And if you thought this was about fairness, transparency, or representation, which is what it should be about, by the way, representation, fairness, and transparency, it's not. This is about Gavin Newsom building his national power machine. And let's talk about Gavin Newsom for 1 second. This crazy guy that thinks that he's sly and all that other stuff, because he is sly. He's cunning, he's manipulative, he's sicko, and he's a weirdo. And remember, this is a guy that's a hypocrite, that both these people are hypocrites. She was getting her hair done in COVID, right? Y'all remember that one, that her own hairstylist exposed her. And then you got Gavin Newsom, who was going to the French Laundry, a restaurant with all his elite buddies, while we all had to stay shut in. Now, we couldn't go to restaurants. We couldn't go outside. This is the guy that closed down the beaches, open air beaches, by the way, closed down skate parks, all that stuff. You couldn't even go out in the open. He's an idiot. But don't worry, he runs off the data and follows the science. So now even former President Arnold Schwarzenegger is in there. But before that, this guy, again, Gavin Newsom, locked down California harder than any other state in the union, ate at the French Laundry while telling everyone else to stay home. He let San Francisco turn into a live-action zombie movie, which is still happening, by the way. Then he cleaned the city only when China's president came to visit. It's not leadership. This fool's a performer. That's all he is. He's a puppet. Then you got Arnold Schwarzenegger opposing Proposition 50. Schwarzenegger is not exactly conservative, by the way. He never really was. But even he said on CNN, there is a crazy gerrymandering going on all over the country. We wanted to stop it in California, and we did stop it until now. He highlighted states like Massachusetts, New Mexico, where Republicans have 40 to 45% of the vote. There's some states upwards of 48% of the vote, by the way, and have they 0 House seats. How is it that you can have almost 50% of the vote in these states and not have a single, one House seat? Because it's not representation. It's about one party rule. And it's funny that when Republicans do it in one state legally, by the way, and doing it the right way, well, it's not enough power for Democrats. They have to have more of it. And this is the party that wants socialism, by the way. Power hungry, greedy ass people. They don't give two shits what you think. They don't care if you're represented or not. They're there for power and to tell you to shut up or put up. And if you don't do it, what's that party going to do? They'll delete you, which we've learned. So not only have we learned from their words, which we didn't take very seriously until, I don't know, they shot Donald Trump in the head. And then we still didn't take it serious enough. So they deleted Charlie Kirk by shooting him in the neck. Probably would have been in the head if that guy didn't zero correctly. Or if he had zeroed correctly. You have Jay Jones, who won, by the way, openly calling on a text message to delete conservative Republicans. You have a mayor of New York City openly calling for an uprising of violence. You have multiple people, Maxine Waters going out there saying, go after Trump supporters. I don't know what more evidence anybody else needs to see in the chat, but I think I've done a pretty good job over the last few years of providing evidence. These people don't like you. They hate you. They think you're evil. They want to see you deleted. They want to wipe you off the face of the earth. You're the problem, not them. You have to alter your reality. If you don't alter your reality, they're going to force you to alter your reality. So I don't know what more I could do for you in terms of explaining. They don't like you. These people cannot be in power because they're psychos. Anybody that has to makeshift believe and force reality to alter their perception of what life looks like is not a person you want to be around, nor be in leadership. So even with this advantage, by the way, even with the ballot language written to confuse voters, even with millions in corporate donations, even with media campaigning for this damn thing, they were terrified because they know their policies are failing. Remember, homeless is exploding. Crime is skyrocketing. Businesses are leaving. Middle class is, evaporating. And California is losing population every year for the first time in its history. So the moment Californians wake up, truly wake up, like red pilled, the Democrat machine collapses overnight. So this whole thing is just nuts. But if we're willing to do it, remember, that means that other states are going to do it as well. So Van Jones has a little bit of buyer's remorse. You kind of saw that clip a little bit with, Scott Jennings, because Zohran's speech after his winnings was pretty crazy. So he's having a buyer's remorse here. Let's check this clip out. This gives a little bit more context of what Scott was talking about. Look at Scott's smirk on his face. Holy Lordy.
I'm happy. You know why? Buyer's remorse from independents. Independents gave Donald Trump a shot. Buyer's remorse. The Latin community gave him a shot. You see buyer's remorse. Black men gave Trump a shot. They've come back home. Buyer's remorse. Why? Because people are sick of the status quo. That's why they voted for Trump the first time. That's why they voted him out the second time. That's why they voted him back in. People want change. And Donald Trump said he was going to do something about grocery prices. He's done everything, but he's putting in gold toilets in the White House. He's tearing up. He's gallivanting around the world. And you're seeing buyer's remorse in places where...
I want to point out, this is a local election. This is a local election. There's no buyer's remorse here. Donald Trump can affect your grocery prices, sure, in terms of tariffs and other things. This is a local election. Trump has nothing to do with this. They have to inject him into everything.
Where Republicans have some hope. This thing is starting to settle out now. This is about basic needs that people have and basic rights people expect. That's what seems to be under fire from this administration. And if they think they can spin and talk and spin and talk and nobody's going to notice that, they just got proven wrong tonight. I'm happy. You know why? Buyer's remorse from independence. Independence gave Donald Trump a shot. Buyer's remorse. The Latin.
Crazy. Crazy. We have, what's his name? Hold on, let me look at this. Where is it at? David by Algorithms says, if conservative legislation works so well, why are the top 7 poorest states red? Well, are you talking about conservatism or are you talking about Republican? Because they're two different things. So this is, the left loves to have this talking point. Because on the surface, this whole talking point they love to push, might as well just slap this guy around before we end here. It sounds like a massive gotcha, right? Oh, if the conservative policies work so well, then why are the 7 top states red? This is like a talking point they always do because they don't actually want to do any real research. But it falls apart immediately once you actually understand how states differ, how poverty is measured, and how it basically controls these conditions in those states. So I guess we have to do a learning lesson for this individual because he can't go on the internet and do it himself. I don't mean to be rude, but it's true. Maybe it's just a genuine good question. Maybe you're not actually a leftist. Maybe you're a conservative Republican for all I know. But red states are poor because of history, not current policy. The poorest states in America today are overwhelmingly in the Deep South. States that were like historically agriculture, for example, economically devastated by the Civil War, locked into Democrat-controlled segregationist like economies for like literally 100 years. So you'd be looking at like Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas, Kentucky. I'm counting in my hands. Maybe West Virginia. These were all run, by the way, by Democrats. All run by Democrats. From like Reconstruction period all the way through the Civil Rights Act of 1964. These states only became red in the like 1990s and early 2000s. Now you can make the case like, oh, it doesn't take many generations to get out of poverty. That's correct. But they were already having multi-generations in poverty already. You don't reverse 150 years of economic damage in just 2 election cycles, dude. Like, what are you talking about? So if you compare red states to blue states, not entire states, by the way, you compare the cities, the red states and the blue state cities, not the states. What you're going to find is this. Blue states contain massively wealthy suburbs and Wall Street/tech capitals. So, for example, Baltimore has been in Democrat leadership for 53 years. They have the 3rd highest murder rate. Chicago's been ran by Democrats for 90 years, collapsing school system. There's actual school districts in Chicago that don't have a single student. I mean, in all literal sense, a single student that can read and do math at grade level. St. Louis has been run by Democrats for 74 years. First murder rate in America, #1. Los Angeles, Democrat for 23 years, record homelessness. San Francisco is ran by Democrats for 53 years, open air drug crisis. So when Democrats are in like this full control, the result is absolutely failure, by the way. Meanwhile, when you look at Texas suburbs, if you do comparison, conservative run, fastest population growth. Tennessee, conservative run, no income tax, booming economy. Florida, by the way, is conservative ran, #1 in inbound migration state. Utah, conservative run, lowest poverty rate in the United States. So people who vote with their feet and they're fleeing blue states in record numbers, like California, who lost 800,000 residents, New York City lost 600,000, Illinois lost 400,000. And where are they going, by the way? Oh, I guess they're going to all those poor red states. Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Arizona, South Carolina. Oh, gee. So poverty rates are skewed by immigration and cost of living, bud. Blue states look richer on paper because New York City and Silicon Valley inflate those income wages. Poverty is measured before cost of living, not after. So after family making $60,000 in Mississippi lives very comfortably, compared to $60,000 in San Francisco is borderline homeless. So I keep going, but I think we'll end it there. We keep going. Not that difficult. Did you just use the Civil War as no? I use the Civil War as a multivariate analysis to determine why there was poverty in some areas. But I wouldn't expect you to understand what a multivariate analysis is because you guys like to use one variable. For example, gender wage gap. That's why. But, I mostly explain that for everybody else because I wouldn't expect you to actually get it. That went way over your head. But conservatives voting counties only contribute 30% of the GDP, though. What's all this like? See, yeah, we can't go on. This guy is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. We're not even going to bother. There's that's what's nice, right? Is that person probably loves socialism. They loves authoritarianism, probably. Gonna guess. I just pulled it on him. I just gave him a taste of his own medicine. Just got banned. Some people are too stupid to help. I just explained to him how the statistics works. By the way, I teach statistics. I just explained to him how it works. You'd have to look at a local or a city level. You don't look at a state level. By the way, that's why people run into the problems when they compare countries to countries. Is usually have a heterogeneous country with a homogeneous country or homogeneous country. So it's sad because you can't go back to like basic statistics on the difference between like say like a stratified sampling versus like a cluster sampling versus like what type of biases are going to ravel into those sampling methods when you're done. Like say if you're doing convenience sampling or voluntarily sampling are like two like the big ones that are easiest to understand, or you get into like these response biases, non-response bias, sampling bias. You can't go into like basic statistics here on a show for these people, but they have to be willing to do it on their own. Do you know what I mean? And what you see is there are people still that will come into our chat. They love to read headlines. They love to read this stuff that they got in some cockamamie CNN title on the Teletron. And they love to spew it. Well, why are the 7 top cities poor states? Is it a good thing that they're poor? No. But also, when you have an inflation of household income coming in from other states that's higher, like the example I gave you of $60,000 and say Alabama is a pretty healthy living compared to living on $60,000 in New York is a vastly different thing. But that whole concept just doesn't work. So anyways, all righty. And by the way, it's not conservative values, you knucklehead. It was Republican values. I'm a conservative, not a Republican, but they don't know the difference between, that's why I asked, they don't know the difference between Republican and conservative. So right off the bat, I knew the guy was a knucklehead. All righty. Well, we're going to end it there. I got to go to work, folks. God bless you. Thank you to everybody that contributed. Thank you for the 20 donations from Bruce. Thank you for the 5 donations from Pat. Thank you to the $100, by the way, from Bruce. And thank you for the $10 from Pat. So 2 guys are practically funding a whole episode of the show here. Shout out to you guys. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody over on Rumble. If I did, I sincerely apologize. I'm going through. And I don't think I did. Here we go. I can actually click on this. I did not. So I'm okay. All right, cool. With that being said, we'll be back here tomorrow, 6 a.m. bright and early for the Bald Brad Show. Hopefully I didn't miss anything in the chat. I was trying to go through these statistics relatively quickly. I had to look them up because I don't have them memorized. But with that being said, have a blessed day. Pray for this country. Pray for Donald Trump. And I'll see you tomorrow here on the Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.